Every farmer faces the same big challenge, right? How do you boost your harvest without, completely depleting the very soil that you depend on? For decades, the go-to answer has been, well, chemical fertilizers. But what if there's a different way? A way to actually work with nature instead of against it, and maybe even get better results. Okay, let's get into it.
So, today we're going to break down a product that's been making some serious waves. It's called Nutriplant Organic Plus Fertilizer, or NOPF for short. We'll kick things off with the problem it's designed to tackle. Then we'll dive into the science of how it works. After that, we'll look at some real-world results, the proof in the pudding, right? And finally, we'll get super practical with a user's guide and even some expert tips.
All right, first up, let's tackle the big picture here. We're talking about the modern farming dilemma and, really, the hidden costs of how we've been growing our food for a long time.
And this really is the key question, isn't it? We all know that conventional fertilizers can boost your yields, no doubt about it. But there's always a but. They come with a trade-off. So what's the long-term price we're actually paying for those short-term gains?
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the drawbacks. For starters, a lot of synthetic fertilizers are made from non-renewable stuff, like petroleum. And over time, they can really do a number on your soil quality, making it more acidic and harming all those good guys, like earthworms. And then there's the whole risk of these chemicals leaching into our groundwater, which is a huge concern. It basically creates this cycle where you need more and more and more fertilizer just to get the same results. It's just not sustainable.
So let's put these two approaches head to head. In one corner, you've got your standard inorganic fertilizers. They mostly just give you the basics, the big three, NPK, and as we've seen, they can degrade the soil over time. But in the other corner, you have NOPF. This stuff is packing a full spectrum of both macro and micronutrients plus amino acids. But the real game changer here? It's the focus on long-term soil health. We're talking benefits that can last for up to 2 years. And on top of all that, it's biodegradable and way friendlier to the environment.
Okay, so that brings us to a really interesting solution. And it's not just about a different product, it's about a totally different way of feeding plants.
All right, let's officially introduce Nutriplant Organic Plus Fertilizer. Its tagline is pretty bold, the fertilizer of tomorrow. And really, that's how it's positioned, as a modern answer to all those problems we just talked about. The key things to know are that it's 100% organic and completely water-soluble.
So you might be wondering, how does this actually work? Well, NOPF is mainly used for something called foliar feeding, and that's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of just dumping fertilizer on the soil, you spray this liquid mix directly onto the leaves of the plant. Seriously, you can think of it like a vitamin spray that the plant just soaks up super quickly and efficiently, right where it's needed most.
All right, let's geek out a little bit and get into the science. What's actually inside the bottle that makes this stuff work so differently?
Well, it's a really comprehensive blend. You've got your basic macronutrients that are the foundation for growth. But then it also has a whole mix of essential micronutrients, the trace elements like iron and zinc that plants absolutely need. And it doesn't stop there. It's also got amino acids, which are literally the building blocks of protein, and even compounds like peptides and chitosan, which act like an immune system booster for the plant.
And this is maybe the most important part. It's not just plant food, it's what's called a plant elicitor. And what that means is, it actually triggers the plant's own natural defense systems. It also encourages all the good little microorganisms in the soil to thrive. All of this works together to improve the soil's overall life and activity, creating a healthier environment that can stay fertile for up to 2 whole years. That's a huge deal.
Okay, the science sounds great, right? But at the end of the day, what farmers really care about is, does it actually work? So let's look at the proof. What are the results from out in the field?
How about this for a hard number? Check this out. A study on a farm in Uganda. They found that banana plants treated with NOPF had a yield that was 15.8% higher than the plants that weren't treated. That is a serious, measurable increase, and this was in a real-world farm, not some lab. And it's not just about the numbers, you can literally see the difference it makes. We're talking faster, stronger germination right from the start. The plants develop these bigger, more fibrous root systems. So if you're a maize farmer, for example, that means bigger, healthier cobs. And maybe most importantly, the plants just seem to be tougher, with better resistance to pests and diseases.
And listen to this story right from a farmer on the ground. A farmer named Jane from Eldred said her maize yield shot up by over 30% after she switched to NOPF. But here's the part that really got my attention. She also said, my soil feels healthier and my plants are visibly stronger. See? That's that long-term benefit we were just talking about, coming to life.
And hey, it's not just farmers who are taking notice. This stuff has gotten some serious high-level attention. We're talking praise from the presidents of Uganda, Kenya, and Zambia, all recognizing its potential to help create healthier, more sustainable agriculture for their countries.
Okay, so the proof seems to be there. So let's get down to brass tacks. Let's say you wanted to try this. How do you actually use it to get the best possible results?
Well, it all starts with a super simple mix, and this is really easy to remember. For most crops, you just mix 20 milliliters of NOPF into a standard 20-liter sprayer of water. That's it. This stuff is highly concentrated, so a little goes a long way.
So the timing really just follows the natural life of your crop. For a little extra kickstart, you can actually soak your seeds in it before you even plant them. Then, your first real spray is about 2 weeks after they sprout. Your second application comes right after you do your first weeding, and then the final spray is timed for right around the flowering stage to give the plant a boost during that critical time.
Now listen up, because these precautions are absolutely critical. First thing, do not mix NEF with any other chemical fertilizers or pesticides. Only water. Got it? Okay. Next, timing is everything. You want to spray either early in the morning before 9 a.m. or late in the afternoon after 4 p.m. That's when the little pores on the leaves are open and ready to absorb it. And of course, since you're spraying the leaves, you've got to watch the weather. If it rains within 6 hours of spraying, you're going to have to do it again.
All right, to wrap things up, let's get into some pro tips for specific situations. We've got some real questions from farmers, and we've got answers from Professor Zhang, who's a leading expert on how to use this fertilizer.
Okay, here's a fantastic question from a coffee farmer. He says his trees have this super short, intense flowering period. We're talking just a few days. So he's asking, when should I spray to get the biggest bang for my buck? It's all about that perfect timing.
And the professor's answer is brilliant because it's so specific. He says you need to apply it before the flowers even start to bud to get the plant ready. Then you apply it again after the flowers are gone to help support the growing coffee berries. And here's the key. You actually skip spraying during that peak 2-3 day flowering window. You don't want to waste it. See? That's the kind of expert tip that can really make a difference.
So, all of this brings us right back to where we started. You've got an organic solution that seems to deliver higher yields, makes plants stronger, and actually improves the health of your soil for the long haul. So, is this what the future of farming looks like? It's definitely a compelling idea, and it really challenges us to think differently about the way we grow our food.